A lot of people hear wealth management and assume it's only for people with millions of dollars. But many of the tools that used to feel out of reach are now available at much lower minimums. And financial planner Lawrence Sprung is here to break it all down for us. Good morning, Lawrence. Let's start with the types of tools or actions that we're looking at here.
Yeah, so I mean, the real value is having a plan, and there are tools. The best tool really is the one that works for the family and the one that's going to fit your life. Low fees are great, but it's not the only thing that matters. So, some tools that you want to think about that may be available are budgeting tools, tools to help you rebalance your portfolio, and really the things that are going to help you give your money habits and your savings the best opportunities to grow.
Okay, and so all of this is, you're saying, much more accessible than perhaps it used to be. What has changed? What kinds of costs can average earners expect to pay nowadays?
Yeah, so I think the thing that's really changed it is technology, because now there's a middle ground between doing everything yourself and hiring a traditional advisor. Digital tools can really help people build a portfolio, stay invested, rebalance, and track those goals at a much lower cost than ever. Some major platforms now let people start with a far less, like we're talking about today, than a traditional advisor requires. So, for example, Vanguard Digital Advisor, they list their advisory fees around 0.2 to 0.25%, while Fidelity Go says there are no advisory fees for balances under $25,000. So these low fees are definitely providing significant access to people that don't necessarily have millions of dollars.
And for our viewers, since I didn't mention it at the top, you also have authored a book called Financial Planning Made Personal. There are many ways to start, but if we look at people who are just getting started, how do you weigh the risks and benefits of using or not using wealth management tools?
Yeah, I think, the real value is having a plan in place, not just picking investments. I think that's one component of it. But if you don't have a plan, you really don't know where you're going. And, there are modern wealth tools out there, and many of them are free, that can help people set goals, understand risk, build portfolios, rebalance, and even track their progress over time. I mean, we're even at a point where JD Power's 2025 wealth management digital study, they evaluated apps and websites on their information, tools, and capabilities. So I think that's really showing how central digital planning has become to the investor experience, and lowering that barrier to entry, if you will.
And so you're saying there's a marked difference between just a DIY plan and using these tools?
Well, I think there's some effort. If you're going to do it DIY, you should probably be leaning on some of these tools to make that lift a little bit lighter. And not everybody needs an advisor, and it might be a great way for people who don't have those larger balances to get started, get acclimated, and get their plan rolling. But I would say if you're DIY, you should be leaning on some of these tools, especially the free ones, to help lift that burden off of your shoulders. And then listen, there might come a time where your life gets more complicated, the assets have grown significantly, and then it might require an advisor to do more sophisticated planning at that point. But these are tools now that are available to allow you to get started today.
And each person will start from wherever they are, and that's a different point for everyone. But where is the best place to start if you are going to engage with some of these tools?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to just dive in, maybe check out that JD Power study and find out what tool works for you and your family. Because I think the biggest threat to everybody listening right now, if they haven't gotten started, is waiting, because that can cost people more than they ever realize, because they're losing out on compound interest, which rewards time. It doesn't reward perfection. Nobody's perfect. So even small amounts invested early and having that plan using these tools that we're discussing can grow, because the money has more years to earn returns, and those returns will start earning returns on their returns, that compounding factor. So get started today, find a tool that you're comfortable with, and start working out and building a plan and handling those investments for yourself.
And it's all sounding very good. And I know that as a financial planner, you also talk about building joy into your financial plan and your life plans. And beyond just portfolio growth, what kind of other metrics or wins should people track to know if their wealth management plan is working for them?
Well, I think there are two things to look at. Number one is if you have a plan and you're using it and it's not really a heavy lift and it's giving you valuable data and you're using that, that should bring joy to your life because you're going to have more agency, more control over your financial life and a better understanding and sense of where you stand financially, which should ease some anxiety, right? So that should automatically bring more joy to your life. And then secondly, instead of just setting a financial goal, a number, set a goal specifically to you and your family, whether that's a major trip, whether that's a bucket list item that you're looking to buy or something you're looking to do. Identify it with something and then name that account with that something. There's empirical evidence that once we name an account, we're more likely to reach that goal. So I think if you don't have just a number to it and you have something joyful in your life attached to it, it's going to bring more joy as you approach that success.
Financial planning, not just for more wealth, but for a more wealthy life overall. Thank you so much, Lawrence Braun.